Historical Society on BC-TV is supported in part by the Highlands at Wyomissing.
Hello and welcome to the monthly program of the Historical Society of Berks County. I'm your host, George M. Miser IX, President of the Historical Society of Berks County and publisher of the Historical Review of Berks County, the Society's quarterly magazine published continuously since October of 1935. Not incidentally, most back issues of the review are available from the late 1930s to the present time. It should be noted that this program is telecast live on the first Wednesday of each month at 7. It repeats this Friday at 10, Saturday at 6, and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Welcome all to our November the 5th, 2008 program. Seated beside me is Joshua Blay, Society Curator and Associate Director. Beside him is Sime B. Bertlett, the Society's Executive Director. And beside Sime is Vicki Hefner, the Society's Director of Education.
Evening, George.
Evening.
The Society's museum, library, and museum store are open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The store is fully stocked with Reading and Berks histories by a variety of present-day and old-time authors. I have a couple of books with me just new in the gift shop. Well, the first one is Stahl's Pottery, and the second one, just back in today after a 2 years absence, is Bootlegger, about Berks County's beer baron Max Hassel.
By Ed Taggart. That book is very much in demand, by the way, and it's rather difficult to get. So if you're looking for Ed Taggart's books, we have the two that he has done.
And they're only $15.95.
That's very reasonable.
Tonight we'll be talking about the newest volume of The Passing Scene, and we have a number of previous volumes in stock in the gift shop if you're looking to fill the gap in your collection or just getting started. As of this afternoon at 4:30, we have volumes 1 through 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, and 15.
7 is a tough one to get. We remind viewers that for $40 a year, you can be one of us, a member of the Historical Society of Berks County. Membership in the Society includes our prize-winning quarterly magazine, the Historical Review of Berks County. Membership includes unlimited use of the museum and library. Incidentally, family memberships, all living in the same household, are only $50 a year.
And while we're on the subject of memberships, remind you that Berks Community Television, BC-TV, now observing its 31st anniversary, is a survivor in a tough venue and a unique entity in that it's interactive. You are encouraged to call with your questions and comments.
So why not salute BC-TV for all the great shows it provides to Reading and Berks and send a check for $30 for a year's membership. Mail your check to BC-TV, 645 Penn Street, Reading, Pennsylvania 19601. Remember, time passes, but operating expenses never go away.
Well, George, at this point I'd like to take the opportunity to tell the audience that as in November's past, this is the time of year where a new volume of The Passing Scene will be available. And this year we're proud to announce that The Passing Scene 16, Volume 16, will be available for the holiday season. We expect delivery to happen around December 3rd. Now, as in the past, The Passing Scene Volume 16 is going to be 272 pages, a hardbound volume printed on heavy gloss paper. You're going to have over 350 vintage photographs, many then and now photographs. Going to include sections on Carsonia, the Tulpehocken Crabman, as well as many other interesting subjects on Reading and Berks County's legacy. And in addition, this year we're going to have the most extensive, right, George, about an index of over 4,700 entries. So this is really an important passing scene. George says, and I've seen parts of it, that this is going to be the best passing scene yet. So I urge everybody to make your reservations now. You can do that by calling Gloria at the Historical Society to reserve your copy. And our number is 610-375-4375. In addition, we're happy to say that this year the price remains the same, $45. So even though printing costs have gone up, we've held the price on The Passing Scene, and it's an incredible value for what you get. It's going to be a one-time print, and this time we're printing 2,500 copies. When they're gone, they're no more. So I urge all of you to please, if you're interested, make your reservations now. We'll talk a little bit later on in the show about the autograph party, because that's always a good time.
We're excited to announce that a special 100-page section will be featured that contains fun and facts and lots of illustrations about 25 prominent villages. Each village and town sketch lists the prominent people who lived and worked there in the late 1930s, such as the butcher, barber, postmaster, teacher, restaurant operator, craftsmen, mechanics, the local miller, store and hotel proprietors.
You know, there's hundreds of these, pictures in these sections, and while, you know, there's so many that I've had to make a list of all the sections there are in here, so I'm going to take a minute to read and tell you about some of the sections that we'll be covering, or that George will be covering in these. The towns and villages included in this volume 16 are Alleghenyville, Amityville, Bally, Burnville, Bethel, Blandon, as well as Centerport, Fritztown, Geigertown, Huff's Church, Lenhartsville, Mertztown, Millersville, I'm running out of breath, Moton, Mooresville, Morgantown, Mount Pleasant, Pleasantville, New Jerusalem, Pine Forge, Pricetown, Stonersville, Stouchburg, Strausstown, Virginville, and Westnersville, formerly better known as Stony Run. So as you can see, this is a large section in this book, and it is unique. I mean, these you don't see any other place, and they haven't been seen for quite some time, I guess since, what, the late 30s, right, George?
1939.
1939, so really is something special. These are, and I would imagine for a good number of the people in the audience, is going to bring back a lot of memories.
Yes, each section, each village has about 4 to 6 pages of coverage.
That right?
Mm-hmm.
For those who couldn't keep track with Simon's list, there's more than 24 towns and villages that are discussed in complete detail. Those of you at home who grew up in any of the aforementioned places, especially in the 30s and the 40s, will find many familiar names and faces. More than likely, you'll find references to relatives, fans, friends, and people you'll remember from your childhood.
Yeah, and before we go any farther, why don't we talk about the dates for the autograph party?
Okay.
For those of, you know, for folks in the audience who have never been to these are really special. 2 years ago when I came to the Historical Society, and the first passing scene I was involved in, passing scene 14, it was really remarkable. They said, you know, Simon, this is a really busy day, and you know, I took them at their word, but I really had no appreciation until the day actually came. And that day, by 8:30, when I got to the Historical Society, there must have been 100, 150 people waiting outside in line to pick up their issues of the passing scene and to have George autograph them for him. So,
it was a cold, wet morning, too.
And a cold, wet morning.
Yes.
So anyway, this year we're going to have 3 dates when we'll have the autograph party. The first one is going to be on Saturday, December 6th, and we're going to have that, the autograph signing will take place between noon and 4 p.m. So you can come and have your passing scene signed at that time. That will also be the first Saturday program for December, when I believe the speaker will be Rudy Husband from the Norfolk Southern Corporation, talking about railroading then and now. But the book signing, the autograph party, will take place thereafter, and from 12 to 4 p.m., so you can have your book signed. Then the next day, on Sunday, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, we're going to be having the book signing, and that will happen again from noon to 4 p.m. So you can have your issue and your copy of the passing scene signed by George and Gloria then. And then the following Saturday, on December 13th, we'll have another autograph party. Only this one will be a little bit longer. We'll have it from 9 a.m. to noon. We're going to take a break for lunch, and then George and Gloria will be signing copies from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So make a note on your calendar that you can have your passing scenes, pick up your passing scenes, and have your passing scenes autographed by George and Gloria on those dates.
Yes. Lately we've been having 3 days rather than 1, because early on we had 1 day for autographing, and on the one particular day we signed over 2,000 books. And I said, you know, I can't do that ever again.
Oh, yeah.
That's grueling. Anyhow, that's December 6th, 7th, and what, 13th?
6th, 7th, and 13th, and if any of you forget, you can call the Historical Society, and we'll give you those dates again. Also, we'll be running, I believe, 4 ads in the Reading Eagle advertising the autograph party, so you'll be able to find out the dates there, too. So
Merchandisers, I think, all have them also.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll have the dates on our website, too.
Dates on the website, so come one, come all.
Very good. We're going to have a little bit of a sneak preview right now. And I think I'm going to keep it moving so that you can see more pictures and you can find the information in the book itself when it comes out. Let's start the PowerPoint. This, of course, is the title page for the book. Next one.
Who's that?
That was, yes, Uncle Jack and Mary Lou. That was taken last year in December at one of the autograph sessions. That's the frontispiece in the new book.
I'll never forget the shot I took during the various autograph signing parties up in the balcony, because you're at the far end of the room here, the line, how it snakes around the room, people just waiting for the signatures.
We should run that picture again. Well, this is the ad that will appear and has already appeared in, I think, 9 publications. The merchandisers out of Hamburg, the merchandisers published by CAP, and the Berksmont newspapers have carried this also. And I believe the Bethel Bulletin has that in as well. Anyhow, that's the ad that we're running. Out of curiosity, let me, for those who are curious, let me explain those 2 pictures that are shown on the ad itself. On the left-hand side, we have folks lined up down at Moulton, getting ready to ride that trolley either into Reading. Well, at that time, it was running into Reading from Moulton, behind Leininger's Mill. And on the right-hand side is a building that still stands. Today, it's a private home at Limekill, or Oley Line. And if you're very old, Snyderville. That was Toll House number 2 on the Oley Turnpike. The Oley Turnpike was the last privately owned highway in Pennsylvania. It closed in 1925. That's what those 2 pictures are. The next. Now, I'm sure that folks at home can't read this, but anyhow, there's a section of about 15 pages that lists 1,500 people, supposedly rural business owners. They're arranged according to where they had gone for their mail. It's amazing, some of those villages that are there. One that always brings a smile, East Evansville. And if you wanted to visit East Evansville today,
bring your scuba gear.
You have to bring your scuba gear. Exactly. So there are 15 pages of over 1,500 people. And what's interesting, it gives their name and it gives their occupation, and you know approximately where they lived because they had to go to their post office. Those were arranged according to the post office. A very interesting section. There isn't a village in Berks County that isn't included there, which makes it really very what astonished me. If any of you folks know where Dale Forge was, or Dale, because Dale Post Office survived the Forge operation. There were about 12 people listed for Dale, which I think is about 5 more than there were houses, which I thought was very interesting. Anyhow, the next one.
You know what a huckster is, George?
Oh, yes. We bought a lot of things from the huckster. We had one that used to come to us from Burnville years ago.
He said that was his trade. In one of the villages, he said he was a huckster.
Mm-hmm. Right? Sure.
Yeah, a traveling merchant.
Oh, yeah, traveling merchant. Usually an open truck or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Every one of those 25 village stories, those village rambles, begins with a picture like that, or a cluster of drawings of the principal people in each village. The drawings were done by Leroy Gensler, who had many years ago been the cartoonist or the artist for the Reading Times, and then I guess in the 50s he was switched over to the Eagle staff. Some of you people watching this will remember on a Saturday morning years ago, on the first page of the second section, they used to have the weekend review drawn by Gensler, and he would have a presentation of the interesting things that happened during that past week in that particular form. Anyhow, all the 25 village stories begin with such a cluster of drawings. Next. The person who did the interviewing for those stories was Robert Bamford, Mayor Jim Bamford's brother. And there we see him on the farm near Epler's Church in Bern Township, with his 2 constant companions, Red, his dog, and Sheep. That must have been quite a sight years ago to see that the Model T truck go by with the sheep looking out the side. But
Shep is sheep.
Yeah, right. It was a little orphan, and he took good care of it. and they became good buddies. And cute picture. But anyhow, that's the fellow.
More in the winter, too.
Absolutely. He wrote these things to sort of fill in the time when farming was slow. He operated a farm in Bern Township, Pook's Hill, I guess it was called, near Epler's Church. Ah. And he went around with Gensler, and he interviewed people while Gensler sort of sat by, watched the interview, and sketched the people as they spoke. That's how that whole thing was done. And it was done during the course of one winter of 1939. What makes these stories really so interesting is that the last real history of Berks sort of was the thing that was done in 1925 by Fox, which didn't have a whole lot of real history in it. And there wasn't another Berks County or Reading history until 1947. So there was a period there when there was nothing really being written about contemporary history. And this really fills in a section of history that's covered absolutely nowhere else. And at that time, by the way, things were kind of tough. We were sort of coming out of the Depression at that time, and people weren't buying a whole lot of books. And then right after these came out, within a year and a half, we were in war, and certainly no books were being printed or of any account during that time. There were no Berks County histories because of the paper shortage and everything else. Anyhow, the next. That's Leroy Gensler, the artist for the Reading Times at that time and later on for the Eagle. Born in 1915 in Lebanon City. He was 24 at the time that these stories appeared in the paper. He died unexpectedly on the way to work in 1976. He was taken to Community General Hospital where he was declared dead. Fine artist. Many of us remember in the Reading Eagle on a Sunday, you would get those magazine sections with the neat drawings in the front cover. The tabloid size magazine section. He used to draw those wonderful covers. Next. Very interesting picture. Very, very rare. We're on 6th Street, and there we see the old courthouse torn down in 1931. What I found interesting about this picture is the building that you're seeing on the left-hand side. Let's see.
What's the address for that courthouse, George? 6th and Penn? Or?
6th and Court.
Oh, 6th and Court.
6th and
So
Court.
what we're seeing that street, the first one there, that's what, Washington?
That's Washington Street. Yeah, 6th and Washington today. For a long time there was a title building, and I believe it's Stevens and Lee, I believe, has that as an office now. But that's a very rare picture. That's the only view that I've ever seen that shows the building when it was an old-time general store with that portico in front. There is a picture that exists of that building without the portico, and that was the one that Bill Loudon bought for the manufacture of candy. And then when he moved up to 8th and Walnut, he used that building to manufacture cola chewing gum, K-O-L-A. And then that building was torn down, and what's there today is the building that supplanted that. But that's a very, very rare picture. As those buildings on the other side of Washington also have been gone for many, many years. Next. A really neat picture. The Reading Standard made along Water Street near the Lancaster Avenue Bridge at the William Rempus, R-E-M-P-P, 2 P's and I-S, Ironworks, from 1903 to 1921. The last one, the Reading Standards, was made in Cleveland in 1924, and it was after the Reading people were no longer involved with that. They bought extra parts and sort of assembled them in Cleveland for 2 years after it left Reading, for 2 or 3 years. Claude Mervine from the Shillington area. I guess the Mervine boys still operate that muffler place on Lancaster Avenue just beyond Shillington. He died in the Shillington area in the year 2000 at the age of 99. He was, and I interviewed him several times, he was the test driver for the Reading Standard motorcycle. If you find a Reading Standard motorcycle today in someone's basement, it's like finding a pot of gold, because some of those things have gone for $10,000 and more. Next. A neat picture. Notice the railroad tracks, the train coming into Reading, and what you're seeing there is part of the old 9th Street road that used to go from the Reading Brewery, skirting along the western slope of Neversink, used to go down the hill, cross over Poplar Neck Covered Bridge, past Ezra High's big home and farm, and it would bring you out along present-day 724 near the Animal Rescue League, which wasn't there at that time, but that's where it brought you out. Lover's Leap, old Indian story, which is might be true and it might not be. I found this interesting because it talks about sarsaparilla and some of the medications that the company, that Humboldt company, used to manufacture in Philadelphia. And it was not a soft drink. When we think of sarsaparilla today, we think of a soft drink. But at that time, it was used for all sorts of internal maladies to make you well. It was a medicine.
George,
yes.
When you showed that photo on Saturday, I swear the advertisement on the rocks there looks doctored. Maybe I'm a little fishy, but if you look, I don't know if the viewer can see it at home, but if you look around like to the left of the lettering, I swear it looks a little fishy.
Like it was put on?
Yeah, like it was put on the photograph.
No, it was really there. Because I've seen another one of those.
Really?
They had one over in West Reading at Linebox Hill that looked almost like that.
If you look like the black lines to the, it just doesn't look like it fits in when you compare it with the pattern of the rocks.
It does look strange, but it was for real.
Huh.
Sarsaparilla is like birch beer, isn't it?
Related to birch beer, root beer. Yeah,
okay.
It's in that family. Next. Neat picture, the Daniels automobile. By the way, there's a Daniels for sale right now, along with a Middleby that's for sale. How much did I say that Middleby was? Was it $225,000?
I think you're that close to it.
It was a little salty, I remember that. Anyhow, that's the beautiful picture. The photo courtesy of Jim Hoffert of the Shillington area. Picture was taken along River Road between Glenside and Penn Street, and he was heading towards Penn Street. You people who have been around for a long time remember that old River Road, and before you got to Penn Street, there was a cave sort of up the hill, maybe about 35, 40 feet. You took a runny up the hill, and there was what they called, what was that called? They called the West Reading Cave, but it wasn't really in West, sort of, as you approached West Reading. They called it, I think, the West Reading Cave. Long gone. When they built the West Shore Bypass in the late 50s, that was bye-bye to that cave. But anyhow, very, very expensive car. The Daniels was made from 1915 to 1924. That's a really sleek, neat, sporty model. It was made at the northeast corner of 3rd Street at the railroad tracks, what they call the Lebanon Valley Railroad tracks. It was named for George Daniels. Early officers were Neff Parrish, Presteel, and John Archer. We remember Mary and Caroline Archer of local fame locally. They had a nice mansion there at 5th and Spruce years ago. Factory operation was moved from one side of 3rd Street over to the other side into what we now know as the M.J. Earl Paper Company building. The Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles has 2 wonderful Daniels cars. If you saw a Daniels sedan, you are always impressed by the size of the thing. I mean, it's you step up to it and into it like sort of mounting a fire truck.
You look at that engine cowling.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a big
hunk of car.
It was a big hunk of car, very powerful. They used to use some of those engines in boats on the Schuylkill River.
All right.
Yeah, for racing boats. Next.
You see how brand new that car is? See the reflection of the running board?
Unbelievable.
Isn't that a beautiful
That's
picture?
a brand
Yeah,
new
we thank
car.
Jim Hoffert for making that available to us.
That's a brand new car.
Yeah, if anyone recognizes that little stone building in the lower right-hand corner, we would love to know about it. I've seen 2 pictures that show a bit of that building, never the whole thing, and we have no idea in the world when that picture was taken. I mean, what that building was at the time the picture was taken. The date of the photograph is about 1914, and it was photographed by Wilbur Heck, and we're showing this courtesy of Kenneth Heck of Laureldale. Remember, the pagoda celebrated its 100th anniversary on 8/8/08. If anyone knows what that strange, mysterious stone building is down there, we would love to know about it, because it doesn't appear on any map, and I've never seen a reference to it in print, which is why we ran it in the book, because hopefully someone will recognize it and maybe contact us. But even if they don't, it's an interesting picture. Next.
Funny little window in it, too.
Yeah, it has a funny little window. You're right.
That's
Wonderful picture. Winter of 1913. And it was taken from the aforementioned Wilbur Heck home at 1150 Franklin Street in the city of Reading, right across from City Park. On the left-hand side, you see a little bit of a schoolhouse that used to sit right across the street from 1150 Franklin Street at Perkiomen Avenue. There's a drugstore, was it called the Medicine Shop today? A drugstore is on the site. Prior to that, that building was used for a gas station, and prior to that, until the 1940s, there was a schoolhouse was built in the late 1890s, used until about into the late 20s, I guess. And then it was used for a community building and various things during World War II, and then it was finally taken away. That was called the Park School. You go to that site today and you say to yourself, my goodness, there was no land there, which is why the building was condemned. There was no playground space.
The park next door.
Across Brookhaven Avenue to the park. And a little bit here on the right-hand side, you see the Kretz Mansion, a wonderfully big place where Kesher Zion Synagogue is situated today on that property, and the old retaining wall around the mansion is still there. And in the very back you see the pagoda. Wonderful picture, 1913. By the way, Adolf Kretz made his money in the construction business.
What street is that looking up towards the mountain?
Hill Road.
Hill Road, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Franklin Street. Well, Hill Road used to connect directly with Lancaster, with Binghamton Street. Binghamton Street and Hill Road at one time were the same road, but in the 1870s, early 80s, they sort of built up blocks in there and sort of chopped that straight thoroughfare into pieces. Next. Oops. Wonderful picture, valuable picture. Here we have the courthouse. And it was taken about 1929. That is the only picture that exists showing the pillared steeple of the old courthouse torn down in 1931. Notice the clock at the base. And the only reason that that picture exists, because all the pictures that you see of the steeple of the old courthouse were taken from the street level or from half a block away, and you really never see what the steeple really looks like. They got the word that around 2 o'clock that afternoon, the Zeppelin was going to be passing over Reading, and someone obviously went up on the roof of the courthouse to get a close picture of the Zeppelin, and by so doing, we have the only existing picture of the pillared steeple. I showed this to someone who said that you realize that those pillars, and I said, you know, I don't think they survive. And the person said, well, you know why they don't. Chances are that those pillars were not stone, brown stone like the lower pillars. They were made of wood because of the weight factor. And they have not survived.
We do have something from that tower that has survived. We have the bell.
We have the bell.
Yep, it's outside the side door there.
Yeah, we have the bell from the old courthouse. You know what? Let's take a little break right now and turn the material over to Vicki. Vicki, come on, tell us about the exciting event coming up.
This Saturday, November the 8th, the Historical Society will host its 11th annual Great-Grandparents' House. In honor of Lincoln's 200th birthday, though, we've changed it to Great-Great-Great-Great-Great-Grandparents' House. You have to count on your fingers this time.
I thought only 4. 5.
5.
Okay.
I think I said 5.
You did.
Okay.
I've been saying 4, though.
Well, who's counting? Well, we're concentrating on the early to mid 1800s with Lincoln's birth. I brought my 3 children with me this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening, trying to do some of the activities that we're doing. My son Justin is doing the tin punching, which is one of the activities that we'll be doing this Saturday. And Devin is doing the painted tops, which is the toy that we'll be working on this weekend. And Becca is working on tollware. And Troy Tolato of Burke's Canning Company was very generous in donating the 200 cans that we'll be using for this weekend's activities. In addition, we're doing rag rug weaving. And this particular rug we've been working on for about 7 or 8 years, and we're hoping to finish it this year. And when it's finished, it will go in our hands-on history room. I actually have a Girl Scout troop coming in that's working on the rag rug. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful rug. We'll be churning butter, also measuring ingredients for cornbread. On the table here I have the silhouette that we're hoping the children will be able to sketch for the weekend. And Josh was very generous. We don't have a large collection of silhouettes at the Society, but we do have a number of silhouettes, and he's pulled a few of them from our collection that will be on display. We'll be doing rug braiding. We're also doing quilting. And one of my wonderful volunteers at the Society donated an activity for the kids in which they'll be assembling construction paper into pieces, and it'll be a wonderful activity for them to learn how the quilt pieces were put together without actually having to do the sewing, which would be too time consuming for an activity. We'll also be doing card weaving. Apple tarts is the ever popular activity. We do that just about every year now. Barbara Goda will be doing a session on dried herbs and trying to teach the kids herbs used for medicine as well as for cooking. In honor of the railroad exhibit, the activity we wanted to do, and maybe one of my children can hold up the train whistle that the kids will be painting. And they're not too noisy. I was really happy. You guys can blow it. I was telling them not to blow it. See, that's not too bad. You know, imagine 200 children doing that this Saturday. It could get a little annoying. Yeah. Well, you know, I thought that's not too bad for a whistle. We're also going to do storytelling and singing, and Abe Lincoln's stepmother will be in our settler's cabin. Hallie Vaughn will be in costume.
Oh, good. I thought it was really...
Who?
I thought it was really Abe Lincoln's grandmother.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Nope. It'll be a wonderful volunteer impersonating his stepmother, actually.
I don't think anybody would have noticed.
Maybe. And then, of course, Josh, we were just discussing, I think Josh is going to make a wonderful Abe Lincoln. And
having a little trouble finding the right-sized stovepipe hat, but yes, I've...
does that mean you have an overly large head?
Yeah.
All the hats that are available are too small.
Well,
Yes, they make them small.
if it makes you feel better, I have a big head, too. I have a hard time getting hats to
Got the
fit.
nose a little too late to grow a beard, but that's what costume shop's for,
Yeah.
right?
So we have a wonderful weekend planned. It's from 10 to 3, and it is sponsored by the Geraldine Foundation. They are very generous, and for years now they have donated the money necessary to provide this program. It's free and open to the public from 10 to 3, and all of those activities the children will be able to work on, and most will be taken home, and it'll be really great. In addition, the museum's open, free admission. 3 floors of exhibits. I have docents scheduled to be on each floor to answer questions and do tours, so it's a wonderful activity for the Historical Society.
It's been very successful in the past. Generally, we have, what, 300-400 people show up?
We had one year, we had 650 people, and it was wonderful. And terrible, maybe. Everything worked out, but 650 people, it was just an incredible day, and we were very, very lucky, and everything worked smoothly. But since then, we've kind of scaled back a little bit with the advertising. Our target audience is about 400. 400 to 450 is nice. Last year, it dropped a little bit. I think the weather had something to do with it. We were around the 350 range. But it really is, it's a wonderful day, and it is our 11th annual. It's hard to believe.
11th.
11 years.
Now, this is for children, generally 3 to 12.
3 to 12.
Must be accompanied by an
Must be
adult.
accompanied by an adult, yes.
And it's open to anybody who's interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Becca, you're doing a wonderful job there.
It's working out well. Okay, so that's this Saturday. What's that date again?
November the 8th.
November the 8th, and the doors open at what time?
The society opens at 9. The event starts at 10.
The event starts at 10 and ends at?
3, but the society's open till 4.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Vicki. That
Thank
sounds
you,
very
George.
exciting. And that's great that we're showing what's going to be done. That's really very
Guys, can
nice.
keep working,
Joshua, how
okay?
about taking a turn on...
Sure, I've got a few things. I've been, I've always been interested in the Civil War, but I've always had a
Very nice.
sort
Do
of
the train whistle.
more than a passing interest in Abraham Lincoln, so I've been doing a little research. 2 of my favorite stories I thought I'd share with the readers. Lincoln operated a general store before he became a postmaster and later a lawyer, and he was so honest that he once walked 4 miles to return 6.5 cents. The other story was they had a full crowd at the White House once, and as Abraham Lincoln was introducing himself and his wife, now Abraham Lincoln was pretty tall for that time period. He was 6'4", I forget the exact height of his wife, Mary Todd, but she was pretty short. But he introduced he and his wife by saying, here's my wife, and there's the long and short of it. So, but it should be a very good day. I'm very happy to be helping Vicki out. Looking forward to getting a day away from the desk and the computer.
Josh, you're going to make an awesome Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
As long as nobody shows up as John Wilkes Booth, I think I'll be all right. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a wonderful day, so please come out if you can. We'll also have some Lincoln items in the exhibit. Unfortunately, they're a little large to bring down tonight, but we have some wonderful Lincoln items in the museum collection. I'll bring those down tonight. We're also preparing for our new exhibit. Our current exhibit right now is the 175th anniversary of the Riding Road, which closes January. It's the second Saturday in January. I believe it's the 9th of January. As I mentioned, our December 1st Saturday program will be Rudy Husband, the publicity director for Norfolk Southern Corporation. Now, our exhibit focuses on 175 years of the Reading Railroad. Mr. Husband will be talking about the impact that the Reading Road has today on today's northeastern rail network through Berks County. You may have been held up at a crossing watching the trains go by. The route between Reading up to New Jersey, up to Allentown, and over to Harrisburg is one of the most crucial portions of their segment, seeing about 50 trains a day. But Rudy Husband's going to be talking about what a crucial role that Reading and Pennsylvania as a whole has in their entire network, which really goes all the way down to the Mississippi and all the way out to the Gulf Coast. So that'll be a very interesting show. But that exhibit closes in January. Our next exhibit will be World War I and World War II. We Stood United. It's going to be on the home front. That's going to be opening March 7th of 2009 at 1 o'clock. The exhibit will be our fantastic collection of posters, both World War I and World War II. Home front, shall we say, war propaganda posters. But guest curator Paul Troutman and I are assembling a wonderful collection of artifacts. We're going to have a victory garden, talk about recycling, talk about rationing. Someone just last week brought in some ration material. Some kids for a project would make handmade leather folios to hold your ration material. So it's going to be quite an interesting exhibit, so we're looking forward to that. Stay tuned.
I'm sure there are people in the audience who remember saving those milkweed pods. I was watching the ones near my house blowing all over the place. And how we saved tin cans. And in 3rd grade at Charles Foos School with Edna C. Hintz, we did our math homework on the back of Campbell's soup labels. People tend to forget how crucial things were during the war. There was a lot that you couldn't get. And it changed the whole way of life for quite a number of years. I can remember someone passed away and he had an automobile and the person was living alone. There were people lined up to try to buy that car. Or if someone passed away, they tried to buy the refrigerator. I mean, things were just that bad that there was just so much that you couldn't get. As a matter of fact, during the war, one of the funny stories was, for some reason or another, iron oxide paint was difficult to get. And when it was time to paint Red Bridge over the top of Hockin, they couldn't get the red paint. So for about 6 years, Red Bridge was white. And you take someone there and say, that's Red Bridge. They say, why, it's painted white. Well, just temporarily, it's painted white.
If you scratch it.
Yeah, that's right. You scratch it and you'll see the red. So I'm sure many of yeah, and Hobby used to collect tin cans and take them into school. Hobby bought those little stamps for our victory books. It was a whole other way of life for quite a number of years. But I'm just thinking to myself now, can you imagine if the kids had to do their math homework on the back of soup labels, cans of, labels from cans, how different that was.
Just this past Saturday, someone brought in a little collection, not a lot of stuff, but some of the pieces when they're really sort of struck me. There's some church handbooks, pamphlets. They were having memorial services late as 46, 47, maybe even later, to honor those who gave their ultimate sacrifice for their country. So it's some of the stuff coming in. We haven't seen it all quite yet, but if there's anything you'd like to loan for the exhibit, please give me a call at 610-375-4375. We'd love to see what you have a look at it, but we do sort of stress it be home front related. There's a lot of wonderful medals, uniforms, photographs of soldiers overseas, but we're really trying to have a home front focus.
Yeah, Reading and Berks County.
Yeah, really trying to have a Reading and Berks County focus on the home front, and we talk about local companies. We have a an E flag, an effort flag that a local business made. I believe it was Fleetwood Industries. That's been in our collection for a while. We'll have one of those and a bunch of, it's just going to be a wonderful exhibit.
I wonder whether any of the home viewers have a good picture of some of the airplane spotters arrangements that they used to have. My father was an airplane spotter at State Hill. There was one over in the Fleetwood area. I was looking for the picture of my dad, and I can't find it.
We've got some spotters, guys. We've got some civilian defense armbands.
Those little buildings that they had up on stilts.
Mm-hmm. We have a replica. Unfortunately, it's not original, but we have a replica playing card deck that's got silhouettes on the back of it as a way to learn the silhouettes of the planes.
Yeah,
it's not original, but it's just like the original. It's a reproduction.
Neat. Okay, we thank you, Joshua.
My pleasure.
Simon, your turn. Anything?
Yeah, we have a few things. One thing I'd like to tell the audience about that we have coming up is the third annual Hendel Holiday Boutique. The audience might be aware that we own this, the Hendel House at 746 Center Avenue, directly across from Center Park. Well, as in years past, at least for us, in conjunction with the Center Park Historic District and their annual Center Park Holiday Tour, we are going to be hosting the Hendel Holiday Boutique. And this is an event that's, again, held in conjunction with the Holiday Tour. And the Holiday Tour, if you're not aware, Center Park takes about 9 properties. This year it's going to be 9 properties, including the Hendel House and the Historical Society. And the owners of those homes open their homes up, they decorate them for the holidays, and it allows the citizens of Reading to see really exquisite, beautiful properties in the Center Park District, some of the most historic properties that we have here in Reading. And the Hendel Holiday Boutique, we take the Hendel House, and this year, as in years past, we're going to have about 10 to 12 artisans and craftsmen who will be at the Hendel House displaying their wares and offering their wares for sale. And it'll be unique Christmas gifts in all price ranges, from clear, inexpensive, the clear Berks County clear toys, clear candy toys that we make. We're also going to be having glass blowers will be in attendance showing their wares. We also have a custom jeweler, actually 2 custom jewelers going to be there showing some of their custom creations, as well as artists that will be displaying their watercolor artworks and that type of thing. So it's really a wonderful event. Tickets can be purchased for this event directly across the street from the Hendel House. Hendel House, as I said, 746 Center Avenue, but in Center Park you'll be able to purchase your tickets the day of tour. Those tickets will be on sale by the Center Park Historic Districts. They're $12 purchased the day of tours. If you have a group of 20 or more, tickets will be $10 a piece. If you want to purchase your tickets in advance, then you can call the Center Park Historic District's office, and their telephone number is 610-375-7860 if you want to purchase your tickets in advance. But the event is going to take place on Sunday, December 14th, and it will be from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Center Park Historic District will also, as they have done in the past, they offer refreshments, and they come into the Historical Society at 940 Center Avenue, which will be open that day, and they'll have full refreshments set up that you can take part and just maybe take it easy, look at some of our exhibits for a brief period until you make your next property on the tour. But it's going to be a very good time. We also that day, in conjunction with the tour, you'll be able to look at the new Henry Janssen Library. Since we have so many people coming on the tour, we thought it'd be natural to have the grand opening and allow the people of Reading to see the newest facility in the Historical Society's inventory, and it really is beautiful. And with that, I can also say you'll be able to meet our new librarian, Kimberly Richards, and talk to her a little bit about her new position. Kimberly comes to us from Elmira, New York, where she was the collections manager and the head archivist for the Chemung County Historical Society. So that's the Hendel Holiday Boutique at on Sunday, December 14th at 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And that day, the Historical Society building, of course, will be open. And by the way, anybody can go to the Handel House and the boutique that day. They needn't really be on the tour.
No, no, that's right. The Handel House is open. That's a freebie. You can get into Handel House no charge. So.
And I believe the gift shop is going to be open on that day as well.
And that's a good.
And the new books will be there.
New books will be there. The gift shop will be open, and that's a good time if you have any Christmas shopping that you need to do. That we'll have many artifacts from Berks County related pieces. Very good way to
New
do some of
pieces
your
of
Christmas
pottery
shopping.
from the Breiningers.
Yep.
One thing that galls me every year about the tour is we never get the chance to get on the house tours, but they do the pre-tour the Saturday night. So I'm going to make it a purpose. I'm going to make it my thing to actually get on the pre-tour of that house because every keeps talking about.
Well, the
how
houses are
beautiful
spectacular.
The
The houses are spectacular.
because they always do a pre-tour the night before.
Oh, well, thank you, Simon.
You bet.
How much time do we have? Oh, yeah, we can have some more pictures, I believe. Back to the sneak preview. Oh, by the way, in the background, those people with good vision, directly beneath the dirigible, we have, that's at Pomeroy's, the Pomeroy sign. And barely visible in the lower left-hand side are those two buildings that used to be near Pomeroy's. Let's see. The one was the old YMCA building, and I forget what was in there in later years. But anyhow, when you see the book in close-up, the pictures are razor sharp. You'll have no trouble making out what is there. We have a home viewer. Yes, home viewer. Hello, home viewer, you're on.
We had a home viewer?
I believe the home viewer evaporated.
Say hello again, please.
Hello? Hello? Okay, let's continue. The next picture, please. Here is your John Parker, the Tulpehocken Crab Man, at the corner of 5th and Penn. On the right-hand side, you see part of Stichter's hardware store, and then directly in the center of the picture, you see the WCTU fountain that still is on Penn Street. Not exactly at the same location, but there at 5th and Penn. Interesting story about John Parker. And again, the picture must be taken after 1908 because that's when that fountain was put up. But it was taken shortly after 1908. John Parker, the Tulpehocken Crab Man, came with his brother and his dad from the New England states down into the Reading area over a course of time. And they had a background because of coming from New England along the ocean front of dealing in seafoods. Anyhow, that became the specialty of the Parkers. And John Parker, that you see sitting there on that very interesting little cart, had a store on Penn Street. He had several stores on Penn Street. Even for a while, he was in that old Crystal Market House next to where the Crystal Palace hot dog place used to be, next to the Astor Theater. He had been in there for a while. He lived in a tiny little house. The people who remember old Penn Street might remember that near Longeneckers, between Longeneckers and Allman's Funeral Home on Penn Street, was a small house that had like a... As a matter of fact, I keep thinking that Longeneckers might have been that very same property, because there was a house there that was about 6 feet wide. You had a window and a door in the front, and that was the entire front of the building. So needless to say, they probably slept in a single bed. That was taken away during the time that much of that area was changed in there. But he had a seafood place in there, and he made most of his money going around the general area peddling his seafood. One of his specialties was deviled crabs, excuse me. In later years, he worked for Harry Horn, who died very recently.
Harry Horn Seafood?
Yeah, very recently at a very advanced age. Wasn't he pushing nearly 100?
I don't know, but I remember Harry Horn Seafood.
Well, I think he just passed away recently at a very advanced age. He moved from Reading. He disappears from the Reading directories about 1911, although he came back to sell his wares. But he lived somewhere in the Tulpehocken. We don't know exactly where. He died at the age of 75 in 1945. Okay, we have a home viewer.
I wonder where he got his cramp from.
Maryland.
Yeah, Maryland, I'm sure. Home viewer, you're on.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about Alsace Manor, how that was established. Was that just a resort area for people from the city in the beginning?
I mean, Alsace Manor along the Pricetown Road.
Yes.
That's a good question because some of those buildings in there were really like bungalows.
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
I really don't know the history of that, although I spent quite a bit of time in Alsace Township. I have an idea that it was sort of a bungalow retreat at one time, but by the time that I got into that general area in the 50s, it was more or less permanent housing. Maybe someone can call and give us an answer on that one. I really don't know.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I thank you for calling. Is there somebody else? Yes. Hello?
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 Yes?
I was wondering if anybody had ever heard of Goofy Garman's Dance Studio from like the early 1920s. My mother used to talk about it when I was a little girl, and I only ever heard of one other person who was aware of it. I can't find any information about it at all.
I've heard of Garman's Dance Studio. The Goofy part escapes me.
Oh, okay.
You know that Historical Society has a complete run of Reading City directories from 1856 up to the present time. And any business that ever existed in the city of Reading is listed in those city directories. I'm sure that we have a listing for, I know we have a listing for Garman's Dance Studio. Sometime call the Historical Society and ask for the person who answers the phone. Give them your name and your phone number and comment about Garman's, and I'll check that for you and give you a call back.
Okay.
I'll be glad to do that.
All righty.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see.
Maybe you went through a goofy phase.
Yes. Yeah. We had some very interesting dance studios. I can remember hearing them play the piano in the summertime with the windows wide open at 8th and Penn, there above the hat store. And down there around 4th and Penn on the southeast corner, there was a dance studio, and I can remember in the summertime with the windows up, hearing them playing the piano and the dancing going on upstairs. Anyhow, let's the next view, please. This is a neat picture, a wonderful picture, and all I know about it is that the picture was labeled on the back, Halloween, Hallowe''E', Halloween at Walt's Place, North 10th Street. Now, if Walt's watching, we'd like a little more information. I regret, or I hesitate using pictures in the book for which I know very little because it doesn't tell the people very much, but this picture was so neat that I thought I would run it anyhow, because there are very few Halloween pictures from this period of 1908, 1910. Yeah. Very, very few. I know that W.W. Dietrich at Kutztown Normal School, the college up at Kutztown, took a picture or two of some Halloween bash at the college during about that same period, or maybe 1914, 1915, I'm not sure. There are very, very few Halloween pictures from that time period. Look at those interesting skulls, probably paper mache. Really very interesting. Those would be major collectibles today, if those were still available. Isn't that a neat picture, though? Yes. Home viewer, you're on. Hello, home viewer. Are you there, home viewer?
Yes, hello, George.
Good evening.
Good evening. I had a quick question. Hampton Boulevard, am I correct, that was named because that went to a village that was called Hampton at one time?
Yeah, Hampton Park was at the village of Hampton. At one time, there were small ancient houses right along the highway, right below the park. Where Hampton Park is today, there used to be houses right along the side of where the park is today and on the other side. Those were virtually all taken away. That village disappeared when they widened Hampton Boulevard, which at that time was considered Pricetown Road. When that was widened, about 1906, all those buildings were taken away. So that what's there today followed after the widening of the street at that point.
Any idea where the name came from?
Hampton Spring. Well, Hampton Spring was up there. I'm not really sure.
So what would be, so today what would be like approximately the street that would be the cross street there to Hampton?
Well, if you know where Hampton Park is, that would have been, Hampton Park was, Hampton, the village of Hampton would have been just north of Spring and Hampton.
Oh, okay.
Perkiomen Avenue and Spring.
Okay. So
Not Perkiomen Avenue, Pricetown Road or Hampton Boulevard and Spring.
Okay, so that was that far in. I was thinking it was further out. Okay, that's where I was getting confused. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But what's our time element here? It's time. Aha. We have been flagged. Oh, we have a minute. Well, then let's look at one more picture. The old Tower Hotel, which some of us remember, I remember watching them tear that down in October of 1958 or 59. I used this picture because of that very interesting wooden stairway. Look how steep that is. Look how wide that is. That is really very wide. Can you imagine some woman with a long dress in 1905 walking down the middle of those steps? I cannot imagine that, and those steps weren't there very long. This is the only picture I've ever seen with those wooden steps, because they built iron steps over to the extreme left-hand side, and those steps were about 4 feet wide rather than the width of those steps there. Very, very dangerous, which I'm sure they found out in the course of time, which is why they took them away very early. I believe it's about time. Tell your friends about our program, which is on live the first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock. Thanks to our program participants. Next to me, Joshua Blay, Sime Bertlett,
thank you,
and Vicki Hefner, our education specialists. And who are the children, Vicki?
Justin, Becca, and Devin.
Okay, and we thank you folks for being with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again next month on the first Wednesday, November the 7th. Thanks for watching. So long.
On BCTV is supported in part by the Highlands at Wyomissing.